Monsieur, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Chris, for the introduction. I have a bit the impression that you're pushing up the expectations, so I'll do my best to fulfill that. It's a pleasure and honor to speak to you today about perspectives and, let's say, a scope or, let's say, a view on the Prince Albert Fund. From my perspective, also from the perspective of the companies I'm working for. I had worked for, Barco is one of them, and the other is a Greenyard, as you said indeed. To start, as a first observation, I will try to explain it a bit further also. The Prince Albert Fund always has stand for international career. To my feeling also, it stands for entrepreneurial spirit. That's probably true for the first moments onwards from the Prince Albert Fund, but my feeling is it's even getting more important in the last couple of years. And I will try to explain that with a couple of explanations about journeys of the different companies and also my personal journey. A journey, oops. Excuse me. Okay, sorry. A journey is, has a start and end, goes from A to Z, has ups and downs, has curves, has hurdles, but personal journeys are important to explain. I think also company journeys. And if you allow me, I will start with, let's say, explaining a bit about my own journey. Question to you, what is this? This is a device to take pictures. Normally, all of us take pictures with an iPhone or with a smartphone. But yes, in the old days, it's about this kind of device. And I just use it as a catchy image because it's from Agfa, and that's the company where I started my career. I did not start in making cameras or making these kind of devices. No, I started to work within this building as a product manager for medical imaging. Agfa at that moment, and still today, is a market leader in diagnostic imaging, radiology, ultrasound. And I was invited there to be product manager for digital imaging. So at that moment already, they were experimenting with new technologies and digital solutions. But then, somewhere mid of the 80s, indeed, 84, 85, then Prince Albert Fund crossed my roads. And incidentally, as an anecdote, I saw the advertisement of the Prince Albert Fund somewhere in a newspaper. It might have been the Standard or the TED, whatever. And I remember somewhere in the corner was an advertisement of the PAF, focusing or promoting or pitching about, indeed, an international career. And even more, they said, indeed, truly a career outside of Europe, because the neighboring countries, that's easy enough. You need to go abroad, you need to go to the US. So I applied for the PAF, I applied for the Prince Albert Fund, and at a certain day, I knocked at the door in the Brederodestraat to get, let's say, to the jury to have an exam. I must say honestly, today these exams, for those that are participating in the recent years, it's a set of 6 or 7 juries because we have so many candidates that we need to do it with 6 juries at the same time. Well, at that moment, when I knocked at the door, it was one jury of 12 or 15 people, chaired by the late Tony van der Putte, and I must say, as a youngster, it's quite impressive if you enter the room and there are 12 people sitting and waiting there to interview you. Anyway, to cut a long story short, it was a nice experience. I got the award, and I started looking for a company. The Prince Albert Fund was still very young, so there was not that many offerings. Some big banks, Belgian banks, that were offering traineeships. To me, not interesting, so I looked for a host company, and I came to Barco in Kortrijk. I explained to them that there was something existing like Prince Albert Fund. They got interested, and they say, look, okay, fine, you can go for us to this very nice New Hampshire, New England town, Nashua, New Hampshire, US, where the Barco headquarters of the US was located at that moment. A tiny headquarters, 8 to 10 people, not more than that. Today they have something like 500 people over there. But at that moment, very small, and my task as a trainee was to help them to create market share, to look for distribution, to look for new markets, new segments, etc. And that's also what I did with the company in the US. Returning to Belgium after a year, I did not go back to Agfa, but I stayed with Barco and started there had a very nice ride with multiple functions, helped them, for example, in their healthcare activities. Incidentally, I came indeed from a medical background in Agfa, and so this was coming in handy when I worked for Barco. I did a nice career there with Barco until 16, and then I joined another company, Greenyard, which, to say the least, was of course quite a change. I came from a technology company, but Greenyard is active in fruit and vegetables, as you might know. But anyway, it's a very nice story, which I will come back on it later. But if you allow me, I want to stay just 1 minute with the Barco story, because Barco is a nice example about the charter of Prince Albert Fund, going international, going global. And if you look to what Barco did with Prince Albert Fund, I think it's an excellent cooperation and showing also that this is really fulfilling a need for Belgian corporates. It's going again, that direction. So if you look, for example, to the worldwide map, after my stay in a modest office in Nashua, there were about 25 people following on traineeships throughout the period since then. So indeed, Barco has had about by average one trainee per year, which they have sent out to different corners of the world. Excellent example, going international, going outside of Europe. You see it's spread out throughout the world, Mexico, US, Latin America, Asia, China, etc., etc. Incidentally, one thing I want to add to that as well is that, to my opinion, you see also here, people are sent out to particular places. And for Barco, and I can know because I worked there, the people are sent out to where really the action is. You see also people are sent out to Silicon Valley, to China, to Southeast Asia, because that's where the technology and the new markets and the new business models for this kind of company are making. So to me, also an explanation or illustration, it is not only about going abroad, it's not only going to be at the other side of the Atlantic, no, it's also about entrepreneurial spirit, entrepreneurial talent. And that is what companies, small companies, but also large companies, desperately need. And I think that's also the role where the Prince Albert Fund can really play and is also playing a really important role. Talking about entrepreneurship, let's talk about a next journey that I'm following at this moment. The entrepreneurial story of Greenyard, company where I joined in 2016. If you look to the company, it's actually an excellent example of growing throughout the last 30 years, by coincidence, or not by coincidence, but it's actually very nicely coinciding with the track record of Prince Albert Fund. It also started about 30 years ago. And it started by Mr. Depré, Hein Depré, with a very modest mushroom growing activity in '87. But he added quickly to that other fresh activities. He acquired or invested also in frozen food. He was also growing or investing in growing media. He was acquiring and building also the company with additional activities in Italy, in France, in Germany, all in the fresh. And today, if you look to the complete story, it is really a company of world leadership in this particular fruit and veg environment. The company counts today about 9,000 people and revenues about 4.2 billion euros. So to me, an excellent example of, again, entrepreneurship. And it might be clear that also in this kind of company, to us, we want to work with the Prince Albert Fund to make sure that this kind of spirit, this kind of, let's say, entrepreneurial growth is further realized within the Greenyard company. It's an environment not only of growth, but also of, let's say, being concerned about, let's say, our mission in future. And it's not about, the mission is not about growth, no, it's also about health, about sustainability, because to us it's important that we contribute to, let's say, healthy lives, to, let's say, healthy food, and also the nature, let's say, the sustainability aspect is to us very important. So this kind of values are important for people working in Greenyard, and I think it's also, as you will see later, to us is also an aspect that attracts young talent and young people. Let's not forget, despite that fruit and vegetables might be sounding like a very classic, a very traditional kind of industry, but yes, this industry is also changing and be very dynamic. It is changing in terms of, let's say, food patterns. I mean, you all consume differently than many years ago. And be assured also in the future, you will also consume differently. We will have different patterns of consumption of food. For those that read, let's say, the TED, for example, there is, interestingly enough, just this week, a series of articles about new technology in food. Right? We talk about meat replacers, for example, but also in production there is a lot of change. Think about vertical farming. I mean, classic farms is of course a big service. If you build farms horizontally or vertically, that's actually a place saver, and you can do it even at the site of the city. So again, avoiding long logistics lines, which is again contributing to sustainability. So all in all, I think this kind of environment is dynamic, is changing. So you need, again, my point that I raised before, you need also a spirit of entrepreneurship. You need also people that want to work and that want to put their shoulders behind that. Also, we do it on an international scale. This is, let's say, the map. I'm not going to read out where we are present, but we sell mainly into Western Europe and also the United States. And we source, we buy fruit and vegetables across the globe. We buy up to places like Madagascar or places like New Zealand, for kiwis, of course. So we source across the globe, so we're present with boots on the ground in many, many countries. And that's, of course, again, attractive for an initiative like the Prins Albert Fund. Values to us, to my opinion, also are lining up pretty nicely with the spirit of the PAF. We are indeed entrepreneurial, we are creative, we are reliable. Passion is important for us as a company. So attracting people and putting people in, let's say, in motion is not only giving a target or a figure, no, it's also about the values that you put forward in this respect. So coming to talent and coming to the point of attracting talent, I think that's definitely what we all need. And that's also what I want to mention. When I talked about the Prins Albert Fund, to me, it's not only about being abroad, going abroad, no, it's about looking for talent. And that's, to me, personally also a challenge that we see also in the company day by day. I think we will not be successful if we cannot attract the right people. So the more channels I have to attract the right people, the right talent, the right young talent, I will certainly do it. So it's not a coincidence that I was very happy to present here and also to be here to let's say, to show the endorsement also of our company for an initiative like PAF. Now, it's of course, I can talk about that. On the other hand, like Chairman also said, I'm one of the older generation. Probably it's good to, let's say, tell a little bit about the younger generation, people that are really laureates, people that are PAF candidates. We had some people in the company. I think Julie must be here today. She has, let's say, done a tour with us in Peru. Today, there is still, let's say, 2 people active in the company today, and I thought it was probably a good idea not to talk only myself, but also ask them to take stage here and present themselves. I asked them to introduce themselves just on a quick selfie and a movie, and I hope that is going to work when I push the button here.
I work as product specialist at Greenyard. I'm responsible for sourcing and selling pears, apples, soft fruit and cherries. I prepare import programs from Southern Hemisphere, but I also buy at local Belgian farmers or cooperatives. I studied economics and European affairs, and after having worked some years in public affairs in Brussels, I wanted to change scope and work for the private sector. The Prins Albert Fund creates a good opportunity to facilitate such a step, providing a platform for young potentials to take an important next step in an international environment. In 2013, I approached Greenyard to ask for a project and felt immediately a good connection. The fact that the founder of the company took the time to interview a young professional contributed to that feeling. Greenyard operates around 5 values, which are a perfect match with the Prins Albert Fund ideas: entrepreneurial, passionate, reliable, creative, and sharing. With these 5 values in mind, I decided to take the challenge and move to Argentina, where the local subsidiary grows apples and pears. I made an in-depth analysis of the orchards, their productivity, the planted surface and the different varieties, to get a general overview of each farm. After my 11 months in Argentina for the Prince Albert Fund, I decided to extend my stay for another half year in order to help implement the new business model. We changed the company from a sourcing and exporting company to a company which is focused on own production, exporting its fruit.
Yeah. So Laurent was working for us in Argentina, as he said. And you see, I mean, we all repeat the same values. So in the end, I guess you are getting convinced that it is indeed a real living thing. Anyway, it was without coordination on that. Next to Laurent, so Laurent is back now in Belgium, as you see. And now at this moment, we have one candidate working out of, Lisa, working out of India. And I also have a small movie of her. Again, it's amateur images, but it's also very spontaneous.
I'm Lisa, I'm 26 years old. I studied industrial psychology and now I'm in India to work for Green Yard. So this is my office in Mumbai. We work here with around 20 people. We also have an office in Delhi. Basically, we are focusing on the import of apples and oranges from all over the world. And this year we are starting with the setup of our first distribution center in Delhi, where we are going to foresee the category management for retailers. The colleagues here take care of me as their own daughter. They challenge me, but they feed me also every meal, spicy or medium spicy. What are we eating today?
Today we like two items,
Roti. My specific tasks here are, on the one side, transfer the knowledge of setting up a distribution center in Europe into India. And on the other side, I'm also looking for new business opportunities for all the divisions of Green Yards, going from frozen to horticulture, and also see what can we export from India to Europe. And let me tell you, this is our next big project. So we are going to start with the export of ginger, organic ginger, into Europe, what will be a primeur in Belgium and in Europe. The people of the fund helped me to identify the perfect project for me. I wanted to learn about the supply chain of a physical product, and so that's how they introduced me to Green Yard. Green Yard gave me the trust to move to India, to learn about the industry, to learn about the local markets here, and to take initiative. And it's an amazing experience.
Okay, so that was Lisa in India. And for those that love organic ginger, keep an eye on your, your shop in the near future. Anyway, so I think this was good just to show how the real life experience is, but I think there is a lot of laureates here that have the same kind of feeling about their experience. I had, let's say, also something about what Lisa is doing in India about innovation, about new concepts, but in the essence of time, I will not go in detail. For those that are interested in this kind of developments in the Indian market, I will be available afterwards, of course. So allow me to wrap up, Monsieur, ladies and gentlemen, this small presentation. I think I'd like to endorse once again the value of the Prince Albert Fund, of the PAF. I think it's enormously important. The USP in the past was mainly probably about international experience, but to me it's also more and more about young talent and about entrepreneurship. And that is, I think, very important if you have these passionate people and innovation people in the company. Thank you for that. Thank you also for the fund to support corporates, small and large corporates. Thank you for the organization, and also from my side, congratulations to the laureates here today. Thank you.